All right. Hey there. My name is Marcus Fick, and I'm from Grundfos and the Building Content Summit Committee, and is going to chair the inaugural BCS in Europe, Wednesday, October 19th. And with me, I have Aaron Maller from the Parallax team, and also a BCS committee member. And Aaron, the first question for you. What do you get out of coming here?
I came to the first BCS last year, and I've obviously been coming to RTC for many years. And a lot of people have always asked me over the years, why do you want to be at these events and be giving out knowledge and be giving out, ideas and content and things like that? And I think, in my heart of hearts, as a service provider and somebody who does development for other firms, the profit center and the competitive advantage is never going to be that I have standards or have methods other people don't have. The only way the industry gets better and we all do better in terms of money and other aspects is if everybody is migrating forward as a whole unit. So even just today, giving a 30-minute speech, and after that 30-minute lecture, talking to folks from a very large architecture firm and talking to folks who do government work, simple, small workflows that we talked about in that one class, suddenly there have been connections made where we can all talk about, oh, you're doing it that way, I'm doing it this way, what if we traded methods and we try it like this? If everybody grows together, then eventually my hope is that a lot of us that are now consultants just to the technology so people can do design and construction, the goal should be that we're basically putting ourselves out of business. We shouldn't need support to use the tools that do the work. We used to just do the work. So that's my hope.
So, and what do you see as, now you mentioned the RTC, what's the big difference between BCS and RTC now, with RTC also moving, away from just being about Revit, but being more platform agnostic? What's the main difference between RTC and BCS?
I would say that the main difference is that RTC is, even in itself, not just being about Revit now. It is still about the overall processes that span the entire project lifecycle of AEC, whereas BCS is dedicated to the issues that surround just the content. And when Wes first approached me about getting involved in BCS, I jumped at the opportunity because content is the one constant that is in all aspects of AEC. Sarah Perilla just taught a class about construction and using Trimble SketchUp and needing data standards to be open in construction, because your general contractors are getting models, as you said, from manufacturers and from AEC professionals, and for them, they don't have the opportunity to say, we're going to migrate all of this content to our standard. They have to run with what they get because of their critical path. So for me, having an event that is just tailored to content, but doesn't get knee-deep in the weeds on, well, we're going to develop a new standard. No, we're going to talk about the issues, talk about how we work around the standards, talk about what content is versus what it needs to be. We had a group of 7 people surrounding a computer yesterday where we were talking with folks from Autodesk who wrote content standards while we all explain that those content standards don't work. And it was very eye-opening for them. And the hope is, out of that conversation, if somebody as big as Autodesk changes what they want the standard to be, and the service providers adhere to the new standard, then the professionals in AEC get better content. That trickles down to the GC, who doesn't need to fight, like Sarah was describing, and everybody benefits. So BCS being all about just the actual content, I think, is a very drilled-down focus that we really needed in this industry.
Thank you. And a thing that's often brought up is, here we obviously cross-discipline, and as you said, we work, on each other's projects and with each other's content, and we discuss. And RTC is often described as, very, very hands-on, geeky. Ours can also be geeky, but is BCS just for the hands-on people, for the people that are knee-deep in content? I think people like me that are on the business side and on the strategy side, in your words, what's in it for people like me?
I would say that actually the best benefit that can be had, or the benefit can reach the most, is the folks who probably aren't in the room yet at BCS. As somebody who works, with manufacturers and providing content, there's obviously a great opportunity for you at this event to be working again with the groups that are trying to create standards or trying to emulate standards to kind of straighten that out. You're probably caught very much in the middle because you need to meet requirements that are set forth by people who don't use the products, but then you need to please the people who use the products. I would also say what's the most engaging person or conversation that I've had so far was with somebody who actually works in architecture. And they were here with a problem with specific content on an architectural job. And the reason I say that is a lot of people look at an event like RTC and an event like BCS and they say, well, okay, that's a BIM event, we're going to send the BIM folks. But the issue of content doesn't just affect the BIM managers and the BIM technicians and the BIM service providers, because the folks who use your content are the subcontractors who need to actually install the devices in the building. The folks who use my content are the actual architects that need to design the building. And having them here, had a 10-minute conversation with that architect, and he understood the process he needed to go through on the entire envelope of a building that until that conversation he wasn't able to work with at all. So I think there is an unseen, or at this point only quasi-realized benefit if we get people from actual practice in here, and we can only do that if we get firm leaders and industry leaders to realize that BIM conferences need to be attended not just by BIM professionals, but by the folks who use the BIM platforms to do their everyday jobs.
Exactly, and just to second or to supplement a bit on that, it's, for manufacturers, come here, bring your content. I mean, this is the amount of brain power you have here, and also the amount of different opinions. I mean, get your content evaluated. Get, is it fit for purpose? How can it be improved? Use that to, either, you say challenge your in-house team, challenge your service provider, but also just from a overall strategic level. I mean, how do you build, we talk about how you can build the business case for BIM. How is BIM driving specifications? How is BIM driving value engineering? I mean, those are some of the things that we are getting into, which you could say is not on the level of the people that are knee deep in the actual content, but about, well, how do we position ourselves within digital design and construction? And I think that is why people need to be at a place like BCS. And Aaron, we mentioned at the start, but when is the next BCS going on?
The next BCS is going to be at RTC Europe in Porto, Portugal, and it's October 19th in Porto, Portugal. Just to expand on your last point, I had a BIM director from a multinational architecture firm come over to me at the end of the day yesterday and say, hey, I want to show you this app that we built. Yeah. This app is for looking at all this data that they have in 38,000 pieces of content. Guess what? That app that they've been building, I've been working on something that's much less complex and doesn't do as much, but I've been working on it back at my office. Yeah. I talked to another gentleman from another software company that's working on one back at their office. And what's happening is all across the world, we're spending thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of hours all working on engineering the same things. You come to an event like BCS, after I walked out of a class where I had said, hey, here's a solution I use for this. It kind of works, but it's kind of trash. 4 people came up and they're like, look, here's 4 other solutions that we're all using. What you did at the beginning was great. We didn't know about that, but now here's something you can take, and instantly all 5 of our workflows are probably going to be halved in terms of the amount of time and effort we have. That's a real tangible benefit for anybody that's attending to take away. So I think that's pivotal, and I would want to be in Porto on October 19th.
And with those words, thanks, Aaron, and we'll see you guys in Porto.